Welcome back, everybody. We have another one of your questions about work today. And for those of you who are new, I'm Roy, and together with Min, we are startup investors in the future of work. And we've got a juicy one today.
Yeah, today is day 138. And this week we've been talking kind of about like our day jobs, investing in early stage companies. And this is one probably that we get from time to time from founders, especially as, as a firm, we also continue to grow. But how do VCs think about competition when it comes to their own portfolio companies?
Yeah, in general, by the way, the whole issue of competition in business is so fraught. You have a vendor and they also serve your competitor. And what do they tell you and not? It comes up in 1,000 different ways. You have a partner. And I remember when I was a CEO, I had a business partner who also kind of competed with us in one way, but mostly was a partner and a frenemy-ish. And I introduced them to somebody on our team to work out our partnership, and they poached that person. And it's like, there are some people for whom, so the reason this is fraught is that for some people, is that people have different value systems and belief systems they bring to these things. For some people, it's like all's fair in love and business. And for some people, any amount of rivalry is like an affront to their soul, to their humanity, and every other variation on it. And so, and in particular with early stage startups, it's complicated because especially at the very earliest stages, it's not always apparent what they're going to do. And so the kind of competitive conflicts we've had in our portfolio are often the kind where it's like we invest in two things that are doing very different things, and one of them evolves to be more similar to another one, and then they conflict with each other. And so my basic thing here is being explicit with people, both about what you expect and what you are curious about with them, is the name of the game. It's easy in Bloomberg Beta's case because we're really public on our approach on competition. And for example, we just ask the founders both ways. And if they think it's competitive, then it's competitive and we don't put up a fight. And if they think it's not, they might, we've had founders, as you know, Min, who span the gamut from like, I once heard that company might be thinking of competing with us, therefore don't touch them, they're competitive, to like, yeah, please feel free to invest in them. We're just going to smash them and you'll lose your money, but sure. And so in a world where it's ambiguous, and other firms have policies like, if it's on your roadmap for the next 12 months, roadmaps change. Or, yeah, we invest in competitors, tough, get used to it. A lot of angels are very happy to invest in competitors. And so the key thing first is to be explicit and have some real expectations on it. Because I remember, for example, when Andreessen Horowitz invested in Instagram, and then invested in PickPlease, there were some shattered expectations there about what people should do. And part of that is I think that it was a new firm, maybe they were figuring it out. I'm not sure. So being explicit. And then the next thing is when competition issues come up, which they do, then it's a matter of trying to describe what your methodology is going to be for working it out and making very clear who has the power. And so, for example, when we've had cases where companies in our portfolio have evolved to be competitive with each other, we've gone to those founders and said, hey, we believe there's a risk here. Sometimes they've come to us, sometimes they've been really angry, and said, here are different ways we can handle it. Our intention is to handle it in a way that serves your long-term interests above ours. How might we do that? And if some founder didn't want us on their cap table, it's like we would probably think that, okay, maybe we should sell at the next round or something like that. And so we would handle, even if we thought the company had great potential. So I'm not saying we would do that in every case, but our intention is to put the power in their hands to do what's in their interest above our own. There is some stuff that people do like, firewalls, like, you two people, different partners work with them. I think that's hard because like those partners work for the same team and they talk to each other. So personally, if somebody asked us to do that, I guess we would try, or we would try, but I think I would advise them that it's just tough to firewall things on such a tiny team. So many different ways of handling it, many different situations that come up. The name of the game is to be explicit.
Totally. And this goes like, I think, yes, competitiveness is in the eye of the beholder, which I think for any of the founders who are listening, it behooves you to also check the kind of portfolio companies that the investor that you might be talking to are invested in, because you never know, you don't want it to come out. Like, I would rather, if I were in the founder's shoes, try to know what potential obstacles may or may not be in my way. And then it becomes often like a really good starting point for you to ask, like, hey, I noticed you also invested in so and so. Like, how do you guys think about the market? Because, I think we're taking a slightly different approach, or I actually think we're actually a little close. And then you, as the founder, can also decide how much you want or don't want to disclose.
Yeah, I think that's a great point on the pitch on the way in. I think most founders tend to err on the side of overthinking it. I certainly did as a founder. And I think many others do. Like, that firm is invested in X. They might blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, most firms are good actors, not all, but most firms are good actors. If you ask them, they're not going to, their reputation is worth more to them than some little piece of competitive intelligence you might think that you have to give to some other firm. And so then they're probably much more bitterly competitive with other VC firms, especially as you get to the bigger firms, than they are, worried about giving one of their companies like a little leg up. And so, but different firms handle it quite differently. And some firms, including some I just named, like, are now really good about conflicts, and checking for things. And so, it's all too, appropriate to the situation and can be figured out on the way in and on the way and once you're in.
But we are super transparent about it. And so if you want to learn more about how we think about it, our GitHub is very public, intentionally so. And so feel free to check that out. Roy and I will be back tomorrow. I won't be on tomorrow, actually, but
we'll be back I'll be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We will soldier on or walk on without you. I don't want to use a military analogy. And thank you, everybody. To be continued.
Sounds good.